Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 5:30 News on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Russ Riesinger.
And I'm Jeanelle Slade. Iowa seeing blue tonight as more than a dozen Democratic presidential candidates take on Des Moines.
But for those who aren't in the top five, will tonight's Liberty and Justice celebration throw the blue candidates a red light?
Before the dinner and high-level campaigning, there's even more campaigning on the streets of Iowa.
And for some, this is a last-ditch effort to gain support before the Iowa caucus in February. In all, 13 candidates will speak tonight, but most eyes will be on the top four: Senator Elizabeth Warren, former Vice President Joe Biden, South Bend, Indiana Mayor Pete Buttigieg, and Senator Bernie Sanders.
Warren currently holds a 5-point lead in the latest Hawkeye State poll.
Now, among that crowd, Montana's Governor Steve Bullock.
Q2's Jay Cohn joins us now with what's at stake and who else has managed a Cinderella story from this same event. Jay.
Well, Jeanelle, Russ, tonight's Liberty and Justice fundraiser in Iowa offers the biggest launching pad for Democratic presidential candidates who hope to electrify their campaigns in the run-up to the Iowa caucus set for February 3rd. With just 3 months to go, the time for a breakout moment, though, is dwindling, and campaigns are looking for a boost at Iowa's signature fundraiser tonight. Leading up to the big event, the various campaigns have been hosting block parties, flying in celebrity endorsers, trying to impress potential donors and voters. The scene tonight is the Wells Fargo Arena in Des Moines, where the leading Democrats will try to wow an estimated crowd of 13,000 people. They're hoping to create the kind of moment that helped propel Barack Obama to the White House. It was Obama's impassioned speech at this event in 2007 that was considered to be the turning point in his campaign. Strategists know all too well what's at stake tonight.
If they don't do well here, and by doing well, if they aren't in the top 2 or 3,
Right,
it's over for them.
For Montana Governor Steve Bullock, his campaign was holding a grassroots summit today. It's designed to connect with and train Bullock supporters to organize in their communities. And within the past hour, Governor Bullock also hosting a pre-event rally that features his familiar theme, calling on Iowans to caucus for a candidate who can actually beat President Trump. Now, 13 candidates will be taking the stage tonight, with Mayor Pete Buttigieg up first, followed by Vice President Joe Biden. Now, Governor Bullock is the last candidate who will take the stage tonight. That order was decided by a random drawing held 2 weeks ago. So is having the last word tonight an advantage or disadvantage for Governor Bullock? Well, that depends on your perspective. The governor's campaign describes his speech as the keynote address of tonight's event. That might be a stretch. Bullock's competition, though, for the Democratic nomination actually got narrowed down a bit today. Texas Congressman Beto O'Rourke pulled his plug on his presidential bid. O'Rourke announcing his decision on his own website late this afternoon. He says his service to our country will not be as a candidate or as the nominee. So it'll be interesting to see how things play out tonight. Jeanelle, Russ?
All right, thanks so much, Jay.
Well, just 4 days until ballots are due for city elections here in Yellowstone County. 5 seats on the Billings City Council are on the ballot, with 2 candidates in each race.
In Laurel, voters will decide on a mayor and 2 city council posts. The other 2 seats have just 1 candidate. To be sure your ballot is counted, Elections Administrator Brett Rutherford recommends bringing your ballot to the elections office. There are some changes with that since the last mail-in election. In 2018, a legislative referendum was passed.
Now, it determined that authorized persons who may turn in someone else's ballot include a caregiver, family, household, or acquaintance. Now, those authorized persons may drop off a maximum of 6 ballots per election, with a $500 fine for each ballot in excess of 6. Those turning in ballots must register at the elections office or polling place. The deadline for turning in ballots is Tuesday, November 5th at 8 p.m.
Well, this week's hearing to determine if Governor Steve Bullock's temporary ban on flavored vaping products will go into effect wrapped up today. Now, that ban, announced on October 8th, would have gone into effect on October 22nd. The 120-day ban aimed to reduce e-cigarette use while authorities investigate what product or chemical is causing critical illness across the country, including here in Montana. But vape shop owners and the Montana Smoke-Free Association filed a lawsuit in Ravalli County asking for a preliminary injunction to stop that ban. It's not known when Ravalli County District Judge Jennifer Lint will make her ruling. Well, although numbers came in low for opening weekend, Fish, Wildlife and Parks says it looks to be a pretty normal general big game hunting season.
Bob Gibson with FWP says there are a good number of animals out there and license sales are doing well. But as always, there are some things that hunters need to keep in mind.
one needs permission to hunt on private property. And so anytime that one is not on public land, they need permission from the landowner. Secondly, we want everybody to be safe. So always keep those firearms pointed in a safe direction. Treat every firearm as if it's loaded. Keep your finger off the trigger until it's time to shoot. And just be safe out there so that we can have fun, so that we can have a successful hunting season.
Well, some other advice to keep in mind: always tell someone where you're hunting and when you'll return. Dress properly and be prepared for the worst possible conditions.
Carry a first aid kit and always clearly identify your target before shooting to prevent unfortunate accidents or even fatalities. General hunting season wraps up on December 1st.
The death of 8 llamas back in October now has Montana Fish, Wildlife and Parks looking for the wolf pack responsible. That attack was in the Basin Creek area south of Butte on private land. Officials have confirmed at least 3 of the llamas were killed by wolves and are working to gather more information on the other 5. Wolves are not necessarily known to kill livestock in large numbers. According to the USDA, 6 million cattle live in Montana, Idaho, and Wyoming. And in 2014, wolves killed about 136 head of cattle.
Well, there's more news from across our state tonight. A dream vacation ends with a new business idea, one that over time could eliminate 522 million plastic bottles. We'll join Russ for that and much more on tonight's statewide news at 9 o'clock on the CW.
All right, first still to come on tonight's 5:30 news. Smashing Pumpkins, no longer just a 90s rock band, now a post-Halloween science experiment.
And later in sports, Scott sets up tomorrow's state soccer championship between West and Skyview. Plus, final thoughts from your Cats and Grizz.
Hey, coming up in weather, many of us got to wear sunglasses today, but that same high-pressure cell that's making the sunglasses possible is going to bring more moisture our way over the weekend. We'll talk about it coming up.
You're watching MTN News with Jeanelle Slade and Russ Riesinger. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire. And sports with Scott Green. This is the 5:30 news on Q2, Montana's news leader.